Hey guys, what's going on? So, my topic for this video is leg training 101. Now, how I'm going to go about this is I'm going to try and divide it up into a few different. So, the way I train leg training is going to be number one. Why I do it that way is going to be number two. And I guess number three will be what I think people should be doing for leg training and what is being missed. So, I think, so essentially, why leg training is so important. So, bodybuilding competitively requires you to have a body in full proportion, or at the very least, you can't be lacking a well developed pair of legs. So, you need a well developed pair of quads, hamstrings, abductors, glutes, and calves, and you need to have a well developed back. You can get away with having a smaller chest, you can get away with having smaller shoulders. In Ireland, if you have a good pair of arms, you're going to stand hands and above everybody else because most people don't have a good pair of arms. Now, my history as a as a bodybuilder was I essentially where I should start is I injured my knee when I was 17. I had a few partial tears in my in my medial ligament, my cruciates. I burst my sac inside my knee, my meniscus, and I damaged some cartilage, and I had a tear in my patella tendon. So essentially, whatever you can do to your knee, I did it prior dislocating the damn thing. Now, obviously, that led to it becoming very unstable. Now, before that, I wasn't doing any hard leg training anyway, true to my own naivety, and I didn't know what to do. And I was ignorant, I didn't really put the effort in. Like, I go in and do leg extensions and squat and leg curls. And I had reasonably good leg genetics, so I had the shape, didn't necessarily have the size. At that point, I was only going in as doing arms, doing chest, doing shoulder. I wasn't even training back that hard. So essentially what happened was I went into rehab and I was on crutches for 4 months. Um, what ended up happening was for the next couple of years, see, I was going to compete when I was 18, and I did compete when I was 19 anyway, in the Mr. Ireland, in the NABA Mr. Ireland, where I came fourth in the junior class at the time. Uh, Granted, my legs weren't up to par. I think that was due to the injury. So, topic number one, why I train legs the way I do. Due to the injury, I wasn't able to perform certain movements. Now, of course, the prime bodybuilding movement to do with legs that people go on about day in and day out. Any form of strength training, really, if you want to build up a good body, is squats. And I'm not arguing against that at all. However, I am saying there are more ways to skin a cat because I wasn't able to do free weight squats where I would feel my quad and I wouldn't be in pain. So what actually that led to me doing was adopting a tactic. I would go into the gym and I would isolate different areas of my legs. So as soon as my injury was healed, I was in the gym. I remember I'd do upper body once a week. I would do hamstrings once a week, do abductors once a week. I would do outer quad once a week, and I would do, I think it was calves and teardrop once a week. So it was pretty much 4 leg days a week. And the weird thing was, it may have been overtraining, it may not have been, but it did work. And it gave me mind muscle connection in separate areas of the knee, in separate areas of the leg at the time. Now, I've obviously lowered the leg training day, so I only do 2 days a week at the moment, whereas I'm doing pretty much quad dominant and then, you know, inner thighs and hamstrings. Of course, I'll stick some hammies and calves in on both days anyway, but that's how it is generally now. And my point is, come around the competition day, The more muscle the more muscle you're going to have on an area, the more thick it is, the more well developed it is, you're going to look leaner in that area anyway. When I competed the first time, my legs were not as well developed as my upper body. My upper body was stage ready, hands down. I was told by the judges, I was told by competitors, Owen, you would have won the show if your legs were in good condition. My legs were looked about 6 weeks out. My upper body was on point. That's how far behind my legs were at the time. Now, that was 3.5 years ago. So what I did was I began to adopt a tactic where I'd go into the gym and I would have abduct day, I would have quad days, and I would stick hamstrings in. Now, how I go about doing this is I didn't use squats as my main exercise. Now, I'm very lucky in the fact that I do actually have very good genetic shape for my quads and my legs in general. So, but to make them grow the way I wanted them to do, which was huge, which was the sweep on the outer quads, because in Ireland, Irish guys do not have a sweep on the outer quad, bar a few. Lachlan Gannon, shout out to yourself. He's one person who I can say isolates his outer quads. He knows exactly what I'm going on about because he knows what to do to isolate his outer quad. To do that, you cannot be afraid of using machines. When you're doing a squat, it's going to be a more generalized movement. You're going to feel it more in your glutes, I think, at the bottom of the movement, in your hamstrings, when they're at full tension. And you can actually have a very powerful squat and not necessarily have the best of quads. I go into my gym now and I see young guys and they are squatting relatively heavy amount of weights. They do not have big legs, but their egos are letting them go heavier, heavier, heavier. I don't have the best squat. It's not groundbreaking at all, but your area of your muscle in your leg that you're growing only knows how much constant pressure it's under, the fatigue it's under, and the tension it's under. That being said, I think there are two main exercises that you should stick into your leg training if you want to hit your quads. The first being to hit outer sweep, or inner sweep, or abductors. Leg press. And how I go about doing this is I will go into the gym. I will pre-exhaust my hamstrings before I train quads. You always want to hit the antagonistic muscle pair. Therefore, it warms up the joints, it warms up everything before you hit it. And it takes it out of the movement. So your quads are going to be dominant when you're doing the movement. Now, what I do is when you're doing leg press, you have to be careful of three things. Are your heels pressing the weight up? Because if you go too deep and your feet are too low, your heels are going to come up. The pressure is going to go to the front of your knee, onto your patella tendon, and onto your toes, which is asking for trouble. Number two, are you feeling it in the area you want to hit? If you're hitting outer quad, narrower stance is preferably better. Then again, maybe your feet even a little lower on the platform so you're getting full stretch of the quad. You don't necessarily have to bring your legs to your chest. I'm not saying you just have to bring your legs to at least 90 degrees. At least 90 degrees. And essentially as far as you can bring it without your heels coming up. That's where your full range of motion is. Obviously, when your feet are closer together, you're not going to be able to go as deep because your ass is going to come up off the seat. Another thing, is your lower back and ass getting grown up off the seat? If it is, you're not hitting your quads. You want to be pulled down far onto the seat. You want to be able to push your quads, and you want to be able to push with your quads from your through the fulcrum of your foot via your heels. Now, in terms of rep range, you're walking your legs every day. They're used to high reps. They're used to being used all the time. Whereas our arms, our chests, our shoulders, you want to stick with the lower reps to get necessary size with legs. I would say 15 to 20 reps is the sweet spot. Now, I'm not necessarily saying it has to be 15 to 20 straight reps. So Let's say I'm doing, this is for squats and leg press. So I'm doing a set of leg press. It's my heavy set. Let's say 11 plates aside, 12 plates aside. I'm going heavy. I get 8 reps. Rest for 10 seconds. Keep the foot up on the platform. Rest for another, and then go for another 8 reps. So you have 16 reps. Rest for 10 seconds. Blast out the 4 reps. Now what that does is, whereas if you went straight through, you'd only be getting 12 or 15 reps. With good form, this way allows you to recover a little bit to be able to perform the reps at full capacity that you want to be able to get the muscle to grow and react to. And you get, so essentially you're getting high reps with a heavier weight at the end of the set. Again, your muscle does not know the weight it's pushing, it only knows the workload that it is under. So that's where drop sets can come into play too. Now, with squats, that can come into play too, because once you have the mind muscle connection in your quads, you will be able to squat, and you will be able to hit the squats to hit your quads the way you want them to. But I would use squats as a pre-exhaustion exercise before doing leg press. Leg press is the bread and butter for building quads the way you want them to do, with isolating different areas of the legs. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I don't squat. I do go heavy on the squat, relatively, in terms of bodybuilding terms. So I'd work up to 4 plates, get 8 reps, rack the weight, drop to 140, get 10 reps, drop to 100, get 15 reps. So in total, I am still getting a high amount of reps with a reasonably heavy amount of weight. So even before I do leg press, I am pretty exhausted. I have a good leg pump. My quads are activated. Why? Now, to talk about the topic of why I don't think a lot of guys in Ireland have well developed legs. Ego. Young guys aren't willing to listen to the older generation. They have an ego complex now. And I don't think they necessarily want to train legs as hard as they should be training legs. I've had people walk out of me during leg training sessions before. And to be honest with you, I think powerlifting plays a role in, because look, I'm going to be honest with you. I will give you if you're doing 160 for 12 to 15 reps, that's going to be harder than getting 180 for 2. I'm telling you right now. You're going to feel it more in your quads. You're going to feel it more in the muscle. Whereas if you're doing 2 heavy reps or 4 heavy reps, it's going to be exhausting at the time, but you're not actually going to get that much muscle fatigue. That's why powerlifters are able to do that kind of weight multiple times during the week, whereas you cannot train the way a bodybuilder trains that way multiple times a week. You have to have a deload day, or you have to hit a different area of the leg. Now, as I was saying, so young guys, I don't think they train them because, look, it's hard to train, but they aren't willing to put in the effort and time, and they think that doing these powerlifting reps of squats for low amounts is going to get them big legs. I mean, Jesus Christ, look, I've gotten to the point now where my legs chafe and I have to put aloe vera and talcum powder in between my inner thighs. I walk like a fucking duck half the time. But you know what? I don't care, because it looks good on the bodybuilding stage. And don't get me wrong, in my off season, I do take time off training my abductors, and I do allow myself a little bit of freedom in the leg department, because my abductors and hamstrings react very fucking fast. My quads are a little bit slower to react. Therefore, I hit them even in my off period. When I'm on my 3-month break from supplementation, I train upper body maybe once a week, still hit quads twice a week. It's just the way I work. And you know what? You're not going to lose that much size anyway. So if you're still training and eating a high amount of calories, but you have to keep training them to keep that strength and that density in them. Now, why I think Irish bodybuilders don't necessarily have the best quads, I think it's a genetic component. Irish people were born to pick potatoes. Well, I wasn't born here, but Irish people have thick waists, thick bone structures. thick hips, thick joints. They're farmers. So rugby and things like that, that's why we're good at rugby. In terms of being aesthetically pleasing and having the muscle shape for bodybuilding, I don't think it pays off. Now, don't get me wrong, there are bodybuilders who have great legs. Lachlan Gannon, Aaron Power used to have great legs. Um, Chrissy McLinden's a guy who built up his legs. Um, a lot of rugby players do actually have big legs. Like if you measure them with tape, powerlifters have big legs. If you measure them with tape, they'd probably be around the same size or bigger than a lot of bodybuilders' legs. But on the stage, you're looking for that illusion. You're looking for the knees, the small joints, the flowing outer sweep into the small hip structure, the small waist. Irish guys don't tend to have that because it's a genetic component. Now you can get the big teardrop, you can get the calves, but that outer sweep, unless you're nailing it, you're not going to have that outer sweep. Even genetically, even with genetically good outer sweeps, I still nail it to get it. But a lot of young Irish guys don't, they're afraid to use machines. They're afraid to base their workouts around leg presses and Smith machine squats and one-legged leg presses and things like that allow you to isolate the areas of your legs that are going to help you win bodybuilding shows. So while they may have a great squat and they may be very strong and powerful in the gym, it doesn't carry over all the time to the bodybuilding stage. What we're trying to do is sculpt their bodies proportionately the way you want to look at. You want to have the wide shoulders, the small waist, and the flowing quads. To do that, you have to be able to isolate the areas that you know you need to be a better bodybuilder. I know I have a genetically small waist. It's 25 and a half, 26 inches on stage. I have a tiny hip girdle. Granted, I'm also 5'6". Most 5'6" guys still have a wide waist. I have a very narrow waist. But to make that even more apparent, I had to work my ass off to get my outer sweep. It takes time. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hitting PBs and personal bests every session, but I do make sure I stick to a minimal maximal load of a working weight that I know I'm going to be able to push even on a bad day after a long working shift or something like that. That I know I'm going to be able to. Like some days, look, I've gone in and I've tried to squat. For 2 days ago, I came off, I think it was Sunday, Sunday, so more than 2 days ago. Sunday, I just worked a 12-hour shift. I went to the gym next day, I tried to squat. I wasn't able to do 70% of what I was able to do. Now I know in my head that just because my squat's weak, it doesn't make my leg workout have to suck. So I went on to the leg press and I isolated the shit out of my quads. I did Smith machine squats and I squeezed the hell out of my legs on the leg extension. And you know what? It works. It works. You're going to have good days, you're going to have weak days, but you have to nail it. You have to. I'm just going to conclude the video by saying you have to be aware of, are you hitting that muscle area? Are you hitting that? Is your foot placement right? When you're doing hamstrings, are your toes painted up or pointed up? So you're squeezing the hamstrings down. They're slow up on the negative. Are you letting the hamstrings slack or are you keeping them tense? When you're doing abductors, it's the same as outer quads. You want a wide stance. You want to be able to stretch the abductors. And a great trick I have, I do the abductor machine. I get a great pump in my abductors. When I'm squatting, I use the easy squat bar. You're able to get a very wide stance when you're doing the easy squat bar. You involve the glutes and hamstrings and abductors a lot more than you would be doing on a normal squat without losing your balance. Same with the leg press and Smith machine. You're able to isolate the areas of the legs. Don't be afraid to isolate and use machines to build your legs. Don't get me wrong, you have to go fucking hard. And I do still think You need to do the squats and things like that, the basic blocks of bodybuilding to help, but you have to combine them with exercises like leg pressing and Smith machine squats and stuff like that that are going to isolate the areas of your legs, because you're not going to be able to do that with just barbell squats. I mean, I don't get me wrong, it depends. Like, I will do squats for some days, I will do leg press some days. It depends how I feel, but I will always go heavy as I can on both of them. But I know that the leg pressing is going to be the exercise that brings out the detail and the size in my outer quads, whereas the squats will keep the density, the overall density. And it's also a great indicator of how your strength is staying during your prep. So, look, follow the video. Like the video, follow the account. Own Vahey Bodybuilding. Instagram is Own Vahey. Snapchat is Own Vahey9. No caps, no spaces, numeral 9. And look, if there's any body parts you want me to talk about, how I train them, what I think you should do, my opinions, anything like that, hit me up. Send me a message in the comment section below. Don't be afraid to make some suggestions. Like, my next video is going to be a nice one to talk about. It's going to be about the fakeness that goes on Instagram and social media, why I think it's occurred, why I think it's a blight on the fitness industry, and the positives and negatives of creating a brand on Instagram. Owen out.